I genuinely have no idea if this is the most or least blasphemous film ever made. I mean, just reading the plot outline as I was skimming IMDb looking for something to review would have caused me to spit out my tea if I wasn't far too English for such a foolish accident to happen. I mean, just the plot itself is enough to make me check my own sanity or wonder if a lot of stuff that's been coming out recently has been quietly released whilst there's something of a global captive audience situation happening. But anyway, Christian films exist, and that is something that film critics have to deal with, mostly by ignoring them. Our central audience doesn't really care for what we have to say, and I see enough terrible, poorly acted, terribly written, shot, directed films as is, so mostly we just ignore each other. The fact that they're normally only released online or via DVD and I used to stick to the silver screen doesn't hurt either, but sometimes one of these films decides that it's a real film. It gets out into the real world and the critics decide that today is a good day to shoot some fish in a barrel. But I would have reviewed this one in normal times. As soon as I took one look at this film, I knew that I would have to review it because, well, look, it's got all the usual hallmarks of a Christian film. The acting is more wooden than Sherwood Forest. The whole thing looks like a couple of cheap sets that get endlessly reused. The characters are all one note. Seriously, who even uses the wacky black man stereotype anymore? God gets squeezed into every conversation, whether or not he belongs there, and the whole thing seems insufferably pleased with itself. But the plot. By film. The plot. Alright, you ready? Here we go. Whilst trying to build a working transporter, our lead, apparently based off of the insufferable lead off of the unwatchable Big Bang Theory, accidentally invents time travel, as you do. Then his boss, who was planning to beam bombs everywhere he wanted, gets the bright idea to go back in time and shoot Jesus, thus proving that
he's not the Messiah, he's a very naughty boy!
Sorry, couldn't resist. Just a prophet and not the actual Son of God. And I suppose it is sort of refreshing that the villains are extremist Muslims. No, seriously, the plot screeches to a halt for a few minutes so the characters can debate this and decide that the villains aren't Muslims but extremists, which is a nice bit of growth for films of this type, and it makes a change from hate-filled moustache twirling, 2 seconds from tying young maidens to rail lines atheists that are normally the villains in this type of film. It's also nice that the film decides to stick with Back to the Future time travel, where you can change the past as opposed to the predestination or bootstrap paradox, but as for following the plot of the last half of the movie, good luck with that. The film bounces around like one of those bad episodes of Doctor Who where everyone's all over time and space, someone dies but then goes back in time and stops themselves from dying, so the villain goes back 5 minutes before them and changes that. It's a mess that I gave up trying to follow, and instead grabbed a beer, took a shot every time I saw a plot hole, tried to work out why I was watching this, not the greatest Jesus film of all time, 1987's RoboCop. No, seriously, Verhoeven has stated that he sees the character as a futuristic version of Christ, and the dude walks on water at one point.
The point of RoboCop is, of course, it is a Christ story.
Also, that plot description. Company developing transportation technology, accidentally creating time travel instead. That's the plot to Notorious Bomb Timeline, starring a young Leonidas. Ew. Switching back onto our topic for once, we find that all our leads are flat, one-dimensional characters. One of our villains is an alcoholic who hates God after his family died in a car crash. Our leads are fresh with geek typecasting. There's very little development of anyone, enough of a body count by everyone that I'm grateful that there's no sort of commandment against killing, otherwise everyone on screen is doomed to an eternity of watching James Corden films. The dialogue is woeful, the line's delivery is just frankly shocking at times and amazing in others, as well as the fact that Jesus apparently speaks perfect English. There's green screen, but there's quite clearly no money for green screen. The scriptwriter, who's also the director, which is usually a bad term, just seems to be making things up as they go along, and then in the end the whole thing is proven to be a meaningless waste of my time, in an ending which I think is meant to be heartwarming but just made me angry. Assassin's 33 AD is exactly what I thought it would be. As bad as I thought it would be. As much of a mess as I thought it would be. It's too serious to be watched as a bad movie to roast, too trashy to watch as a theological film. Its ending just made me angry. The people I was meant to be rooting for seemed to think they were, and spoke lines that seemed to be for a sitcom, and the whole thing just looks cheap. On the other hand, they did get Jesus to say, if you finish my movie, you would know that I'll be back. The movie, by the way, is Passion of the Christ. Jesus is apparently a Mel Gibson fan. But on the other hand, they used daylight savings time as a plot device. Please, 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 don't take this score as an, it must be so bad, it's good. It's not. It's so bad, it's bad, and the only assassins that should be wandering around in history are the Assassin's Brotherhood. This is a bomb. Do not see this film under any circumstances, but what do you guys think, and what is your favourite Christ allegory Bible film? Comment below, let me know. I'm Daniel, it's been a donkey. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe.